G'day there, guys. I'm Jesse Crow, the traveling scientist, here in quarantine in Perth, Australia. It's day 12. Only a couple days left. In 48 hours, I am out of here, and I'm super excited. But I got a couple more stories to tell because I've been going live every single day for the last 12 days. G'day, TJ. I'm going live every day while I'm here in quarantine. 11 a.m. West Australian time, 1 p.m. East Australian Standard Time, 8 p.m. Pacific time, and 4 a.m. in the United Kingdom. I'm going live every single day telling stories. Yesterday's story was all about how I ended up somehow paragliding solo off Mount Mackenzie twice with no experience. And I was just flying 8,000 feet above the air. Still can't believe that happened. But anyway, I told that story yesterday. You can check it out on Instagram TV or YouTube. Today, I want to tell the story about how I ended up getting my own place in town, how I nearly ended up going to Japan. DJ's calling me a nut job. Shut up. How I nearly ended up in Japan, and what happened to my car. I had an incredible car that I drove all around America and Canada. I ended up losing my car. It's a complicated story, but I'm going to get into that in just a second. But first, thanks for joining me here in quarantine. It's day 12. I'm nearly out. Pretty excited. That bed is so fun to jump on. Oh, I got my little stuffed buddies here. They've been keeping me company because I'm going crazy. Been here for a while now. It's not really humane to put people in a hotel room for 14 days. I haven't seen another human in over 12 days now. I mean, I've been talking with plenty of people online. It's great, but this room is tiny and there's no fresh air and I'm frying my brain. But anyway, I'll shut up about that. I don't want to complain. It's not too bad. I'm nearly out of here. I'm nearly back to the real world, so that's awesome. Anyway, let me tell this story. So I was living in Revelstoke. I lived in a house with 12 plus people, which is a lot of people to live with, especially during COVID times. You don't want to get sick. One person gets sick, everyone gets sick. So I needed to find a new place to live. Eileen's here. G'day, Eileen. Good to see you. Oh, you're the reason I went to Canada in the first place. Just love snowboarding so much. Anyway, what did I do? I needed to find a place to live. I didn't know what to do. Winter was coming up. So I went to work, the hotel where I worked, and I talked to my boss. And apparently there was some spare hotel rooms going because business is kind of quiet, coronavirus, not too many people traveling. It was pretty quiet. So there was actually a spare hotel room that I could take. So I moved into this hotel room. It was really nice, a little kitchenette, huge king bed. The commute to work was 20 seconds. It was insane. Some days I didn't even leave the building. If I ever needed some ice, I could just go downstairs to the bar. Or if I needed some glassware, I could just go to the restaurant. So living in a hotel was pretty sweet. The rent was very steep. Costs a lot to live in a fancy hotel room, but to have your own place in the middle of town was really cool. So I had a place to live, nice place to live in the middle of town. I was just going to treat myself for the last little while I was in Canada. And then I thought, you know what? I want to go to Japan. I wanted to try something new. I was getting a little bit bored. Enrique. I was getting a little bored in Revelstoke, and I wanted to go to Japan real bad. So, I did some research. I found a nice mountain I wanted to go to. I was looking into jobs, and then I thought I should probably sort of visa out. So I called up the Japanese consulate, and I was like, hey, Japan, can I come and visit? And they were like, Mags and Cassie here, you know this story. I told you this story yesterday. So I'm talking to Japan on the phone, and I was like, can I come to Japan? And they were like, well, that depends. Jesse, are you Japanese? And I was like, well, no. But surely there's an exception, for coming to work or special consideration. I really want to snowboard there. And they're like, Jesse, if you're not Japanese, you can't come to Japan right now. There's a global pandemic on. I was like, fine. I won't go to Japan. I was so set on it, and it just didn't happen. But, I'll get to Japan one day. So that was it. I was Revelstoke. But that's okay. I had a nice place to live. I had a sweet job. I didn't say Magazine cast. I'm excited that you guys are here watching. Anyway, I gotta keep going because my battery's about to die. I forgot to charge my phones. So let me get on to the rest of this story. I had a sweet place to live. I had a nice job. And you know what? In terms of global pandemics, places you can get stuck, Revelstoke was pretty freaking sweet. We could snowboard. The town wasn't dead, but it wasn't crazy busy either. We were still getting some local business from, Canadians, from Alberta especially, and Quebec, which wasn't great, but they brought money, so that was good. So that kept us busy, but at the same time, the mountain wasn't that busy. You could go snowboarding, and on the average day, weekdays especially, you had the mountain to yourself. It was really cool. Like, you could snowboard for ages, and you wouldn't see anyone else. So, that was pretty cool. So, I was enjoying winter in Canada. Snowboarding, working, not going to Japan, whatever. Anyway, what happened next was my car registration expired. I'm so used to visas expiring. My registration expired, which means I couldn't drive my car anymore. You'll know from previous stories that my car came from California in America. And when I crossed the border into Canada, they were like, oh, you need to export your car to a Canadian car. And I was like, no. I'm going to bring this car back to America and keep exploring because they charge you a few $100s to export the car. So I was like, no, I'll just keep it as an American car, drive it in Canada with American registration, and then bring it back. When COVID happened, all of a sudden, I couldn't take it back to America. And the registration expired, and I couldn't get it renewed unless I took it back to America. And I couldn't get it registered in Canada because to do that, you need to get it exported at the border, which I didn't do because I was going to take it back to America. So I spent so many hours on the phone, and basically Canada was like, no, you can't register the car here unless you get it exported in America. And America's like, well, you can't come into America because that's not essential travel. And I was like, what if I just take it to the border and you can just look at it and, sign the papers from Canada? And they said no. So this awesome car, perfectly good car, super healthy, super young. It's only like a 10-year-old car. It's only done 100,000 miles, if that. Couldn't legally drive it in Canada. Couldn't legally get it back to America. So it became useless. And I didn't know what to do with this car. So what I ended up doing was, remember that goat farm that I lived on? Lovely old couple there. They let me drive back to the goat farm and park it on their property. And all I had to do was shovel shit for a few more days. But I got to leave the car there. So ultimately, the moral of the story is, if you find yourself in BC, Canada, and you need a vehicle, I've left a van in the shoe swap on a goat farm. And you can go and pick it up. If you want to go get this car, let me know because I don't know what to do with it. Maybe one day I can get back to Canada, I can get back to my car and figure it out. Maybe I'll never see that car again. I don't know. But it's a perfectly good minivan it's ready to go. It's an awesome car. It's decked out. It's ready to take on a camping trip. It just legally can't be driven. And there's some paperwork that's got to be sorted out. Oh, it's kind of ridiculous. It's just COVID and stupid rules. Anyway, that's how I lost my car and ended up getting driven around by the rest of the Corona crew. So thank you to Simon and Amanda and Nat, Virginia, for driving me around Revelstoke for the rest of the winter season. And then when I drove the car to the farm and left it there, I had no way to get back. It's 2 hours from Revelstoke. So I called all my friends and I was like, can you come get me? And they were just like, no. Why didn't you plan this? So anyway, I ended up getting stuck out on the farm and it took me a few days to get back. Ended up catching some sort of bus. It was a whole deal. But anyway, there's a car sitting in BC, ready to go. Yes, bureaucracy at its best, Ali. I know, it sucked. But if you're ever in Canada and you need a vehicle, hit me up. I'm sure we can make a deal. Sort something out. Paperwork is in the glove box. Anyway, that's what's happened to my car. And, winter ended up being pretty awesome. That's my story for today. Tomorrow's story is going to be, tomorrow's day 13 of quarantine. That's pretty much the end of it. So tomorrow's story is going to be how I ended my trip, the last little bit of the winter season, how I ended up getting back to Australia, and then future plans, which I don't really know yet, so I should probably figure those out. But anyway, that's my story for today, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Hope I didn't bore you too much talking about the bureaucracy of my car, but it's just a ridiculous situation, isn't it? It's crazy. Anyway, if you have any more advice for me, if you got any questions for me, you want to hear any specific stories, send me a message. Next couple of days will be your last chance. Leave a comment below. And yeah, I'll be going live same time tomorrow, 11 o'clock West Australia, 1 p.m. East Australia, 8 p.m. on the Pacific time, and 4 a.m. if you're in the UK. Finally, I've been getting a little bored here. Thanks, Zippy. I've been getting a little bored, so, I'm running out of books to read, so I started reading the Bible. And I read this quote. I want to share this quote with you. The Lord said unto John, come forth, and ye shall receive eternal life. But John came fifth, and he won a free toaster instead. Poor John. Anyway, that's all for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you same time tomorrow, and I'm nearly out of quarantine. Feels good. Anyway, cheers, legends. I'll catch you later.